program. And so today we are trying to just summarize की आता एवढं सगळं झालं, एवढे concepts we learned, how to put them into one basket and use them. So today's session is all about using this program's different concepts presented in a very different sessions, and now trying to bring them together in one basket. So what we are going to do is directly focus on what should you do with yourself and with your child, and then at the end we will explain why meditation is required to do these first two things. So we discussed in one of the sessions earlier that what is the meaning of meditation according to us. There are different meanings of meditation, so according to us, and then we will cover that. Okay. So the first three sessions we concentrated on learning what is systems thinking. So the first session we understood that we took one Harish case, and where we understood that rational learning or academic learning, social learning, SL we used to call it, emotional learning, EL, and motivation learning. All these are happening together simultaneously. And our child is influenced by all these four things interacting with each other, not separately by rational, not separately by social. So everything is influencing everything. So systems thinking is one science which helps us understand when everything is influencing everything, how to separate wheat from chaff, how to separate what is important, how to find out what is the root cause of between these four. So we took the first session to understand and the concept of system thinking, where we understood that this, all these four things are correlated. ES is emotional, motivational, academic system, and social system. All these four things are correlated. Then second session, what we did was we identified some archetypes, patterns, we call it, 4 archetypes. Fixes that fail, success to successful, shifting the burden and limits to success. To understand how to read a system, how to identify the system characteristics, and which is the system which is influencing in a current case, whether it is motivation or emotion, academic or social, So we took some cases, if you remember, and we tried to identify the archetypes. We call them archetypes. We took some cases also in our post WhatsApp group, and there we shared those cases. Many of you participated, Madhura and then Trupti and others, and then we use that sessions to understand ki kasa bagayacha, systems la kasa bagayacha. And then in the last session of third, we understood the delay structure of systems. Delay manje काय की see, everything has a consequence. Academic system मध्ये जर काही होत नसेल properly, if something is not happening in the academic system, we see its consequences. We see the child not learning. Same way in social, motivation, and emotional. But we discovered that the consequences of academic are immediately observable. You immediately see कि बच्चे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Consequences of motivation is immediately observable. That Harish went to the tennis class and he withdrew from the tennis class in 4 days. So motivation learning ka consequence immediately समझ में आ रहा है. Social learning consequences also immediately we come to know when they start fighting with the other children. The problem is in emotional systems, the consequences are not seen at all. They are like boiling frog syndrome. This is a very nice picture to explain boiling frog syndrome, where we said that if a frog is put in a burner like this and the gas started, and very slowly the heat is increased, not very quickly, the frog doesn't even know that it is getting roasted. if it is very slowly made hot, the water is, burner is slowly increased. So emotions are exactly like that. The consequences of lack of emotions and learning are seen after years and years of our life. So what we have not done properly at the age of 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 is experienced at the age of 25 and 30 and 35. So, and therefore, changes in emotions are very difficult to, if we make a mistake, for example, in teaching emotions to our child, we don't even know that we have made a mistake, because we'll come to know after 15 years. So how will we find it out? And that is why emotional learning is so tricky and so difficult. उसके measurements, उसका time scale ही अलग है, बहुत ही दिनों के बाद वो समझता है. And now after 5 sessions of emotions and 2 of social learning, you would appreciate now, from your own observations, from your own experience now, of what you feel and experience emotions, And so today we are going to now understand and concentrate only on on emotions. So what did we learn about emotions? In the first session, session 4, where everyone joined us, Sonali, Rajashree, Snehal, and others, where we had the first session where we said, what are emotions? And where we spent time in understanding that this emotional brain, with which we are born at the age 0, at the age 1 day, is the one which is with us right from that day 1, and we must therefore learn to pause and heed to it. And we also understood that we must avoid using MAPC. I hope you remember MAPC stands for M is pointing mistakes, A is giving assurance to a child that he's okay, even when he's failing. Telling the child to be positive, नहीं होता है कुछ घबरो मत, अच्छा हो जाएगा. C is comparison, comparing him with other child and telling him how he is good or bad or whatever. And I is intellectualizing the emotion, telling him that its emotion is, it's okay, it is not, your crying is not going to help you, boss. So intellectualizing emotions. So MAPC is to be avoided. And we found out in the first session itself how difficult it is for us, because we all of us use MAPC unknowingly, not only with our children, but also with ourselves. And then we concentrated in the next session on mirroring emotions. And we discussed and we decided that we will only focus on 5 emotions. We call them JINX. JINX stands for J, jealousy, I, inadequacy, N, anger, X, anxiety, and S is shame emotion. And how to diffuse secondary emotions generated by thought. So we technically understood what is an emotion, how to mirror an emotion of someone else, of our child, how to validate our own emotions when the emotion is with us, and how to diffuse the secondary emotions which are generated by thought. So we again, these first 2 sessions were very technical sessions, where we understood the concept of emotion. And we found out that if we do not mirror emotions, and then sooner or later, this tiger catches us. So we are followed by this tiger all the time, if you do not mirror emotions. Even when you are sitting like this in a beautiful room, that tiger is sitting there at the corner. So we have to, so this tiger becomes our constant companion if we don't mirror our emotions. And therefore, our next 5 sessions where we try to understand how to see in the eyes of this tiger. Because a tiger to जाने वाला नहीं, वो कहीं भी जाओ, वो अपने को पीछे तो आने ही वाला है. So how to see in the eyes of the tiger and not get worried or scared or afraid of tiger. So And the biggest emotion which triggers this tiger is anxiety. Out of our jinx, anxiety was the first emotion where we spend a lot of time in understanding. And why anxiety? Because the future is always uncertain. What is anxiety? Anxiety is the uncertainty of the future. Because I do not know my future, I am constantly worried about my future, of what will happen to me or to my family or to my business or to my work, all this. This anxiety is a constant emotion I have, because the future is always uncertain. So anxiety is the emotion which you and me live every day, every moment, every moment. So it's a very primary emotion, which is, they call it one eye of the tiger, And as we saw, anxiety generates inadequacy. When I cannot do something, for example, I'm trying to do an operation, and when I make a mistake or something, the inadequacy is immediately generated. And that in turn generates shame emotions. Shame emotions means, oh, I'm not so good. I knew this. So shame emotions, inadequacy, anxiety are cousin sisters of anxiety, these two emotions. So we live with this all the time. And the second emotion that triggers the tiger is, second eye of the tiger is jealousy. ये दो इमोशंस हमको छोड़ते नहीं है. हम रात को सोए भी, दिन में उठे भी, खाना खाते अकेले भी रहेंगे तो भी. Why jealousy? Because we live with the people all around us all the time. We're never alone. Like Tarzan, Tarzan picture में जैसे Tarzan अकेला दिखता है, वैसे हम कभी अकेले नहीं रहते. We always live with people. So jealousy is an inherent emotion in us. So, and jealousy is fed by inadequacy. जब अपने को, when I see my friend, like I showed you the case of that Mercedes friend of mine who was a classmate of mine in MBA. He not only made me feel jealous, he also made me feel inadequate because of his success. So inadequacy and jealousy again go hand in hand. And when inadequacy comes, shame emotions also already are there around the corner. Shame emotions means I started feeling I'm not so good even after spending 50 years of my life. So now the question is how to deal with anxiety. तो तुम और मैं हर रोज एंजाइटी अगर फेस करते हैं तो उसको डील कैसे करना है. So we saw this quadrant. You remember this quadrant? Quadrant of control, and on the y-axis and y-axis पे control है और x-axis पे predictability and unpredictability of the event. Yeah. So when we are working, when Dr. Trupti is working in the clinic, or Madhura is working in the clinic, Vasundhara is working in a small scale or her unit, or Pranav is working in his corporate, Ujjwal sir is working with his income tax officials, Sachin sir is working with his patients of cardiac, Deepali is working at home with her children, or Snehal or Anjali. All of us face work anxiety. And work anxiety is what anxiety? And as we saw, anxiety ekdam aati nahi hai. It keeps on coming in different events like this. So initially the boss might call me and say, "Ye ho gaya kya kaam?" And I remember, oh my God, your last 2-3 slides reh gaye. So there is a anxiety increase, because of, or my client calls, like Trupti said, and Dr. Sachin Gavde said, that we have a VIP, they have a VIP syndrome. When a patient is a VIP, their anxiety levels rise very high because they are worried now what will happen to the patient. So customer call or promotions, like Pranav and all of us face in corporate life. I was working in TCS for 20 years. So when January onwards we start worrying about क्या होने वाला है March में. So this is so anxiety levels are not as a constant नहीं रहता. These events keep on changing during the day, and this is called episodic anxiety. तो एंजाइटी एकदम ऐसी बढ़ती नहीं है, एकदम ये हल्लू से बढ़ती रहती है, कम होती रहती है, बढ़ती रहती है, कम होती रहती है. And how do we deal with it? So we get more information, that is this information on this x-axis of boss, of customer or promotion, and try to reduce our work anxiety, try to deal with our boss differently, try to deal with our patients differently. For example, Sachin sir, Trupti, yes, madam, I feel that even when you have a VIP customer, a VIP patient, I'm sure by now you must have developed your own mechanisms of getting information about the VIP customer and telling him, interacting with him in such a way that so that your work anxiety reduces. So we all do this. So all episodic anxieties can be managed by dealing with that event, by understanding that event from different angles. Every one of us does it, whether it is work or home or anything. But despite all that, कितना भी ये कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश की हमने ये फ्यूचर, the residual anxiety will still remain out of our control. कितना भी मैंने ट्राई किया all this anxiety control करने के लिए, there is some level of anxiety which will remain unattended and which I have to deal with. Similarly, you have child anxiety. Child is what anxiety? Managing your child, means nurturing your child. When you are dealing with child anxiety, you are dealing with child problems. खाना नहीं खाता है वो सब बराबर करता है, लेकिन खाने का बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. और he doesn't get up in the morning, यार 10 बार उठाना पड़ता है उसको. और he has a homework problem. होमवर्क को बैठाने के लिए उसको घंटे जाते हैं. और you have a house problem. House means it includes a problem of maid, of managing the house, of managing the guests, of managing the father-in-law, mother-in-law, everyone, So child anxiety at an event level, again, you learn how to manage these events, So you learn how to manage. For example, we concentrated on understanding the homework problem, and we understood. You remember that case which we had taken of Harish, where Harish's mother was taking his homework and unable to solve his problem. She was labeling her child as unfocused. So using that case, we understood that when we are trying to help our child with homework, we should never ever correct without permission. So 4 P's. So we found out that if you want to help our child to correct his academic mistakes without affecting his confidence, we should use 4 P's. First was never correct child without permission. Second was always show him the process to correct, not the outcome, not the result. So if he is adding 24 plus 45, we should see what is the process by which he is adding 24 plus 45. And which means we should take some time to observe his whole process and find out what is he doing wrong. If the mistake is due to focus, then tell him without finger pointing. That means if the mistake is happening because his friends are calling from the ground and calling him again and again, "Arey, khelne ko aaja," then you clearly understand this is a focus problem and tell him ki wo aap abhi, because you are waiting for him to go now, and therefore you are not able to finish your sum 24 plus 45, and give him period, time to adjust. So these are the 4 P's. And we also spend time in understanding that we should never label the child that he is not focused, that he is careless, that he is dumb, that he is, ये label देना नहीं है अपने को. And we said that the only way by which we can do this is deal with the emotional needs of the child, not the academic need. even though the problem is academic, we should deal with the emotional needs of the child. But yet, we said universal anxiety is very high. Like we had a very long discussion that all of you women who are managing your career as well as house have a huge problem of anxiety, because you are trying to balance the two things. Trupti shared a lot on it, Madhura also, and we spent a lot of time in understanding this and why women have to bear all the pressure of having a very nice child, and because of which anything happening wrong with the child is always the mother is blamed. Whether Vasundhara also is a working woman, she also faces this. Everyone faces it. And Snehal also was talking about that Snehal had left her job and everything to help her child. And she told us about the different side of the issue. And Trupti was telling us about the different side of the issue. Where Trupti shared that she is feeling bad that she is not able to give enough time to her child. And Snehal told us that after spending so many years not doing anything, she is feeling bad that she is not doing anything with her life. So this anxiety is a common problem for women, a big problem for women, in fact. And this is, we call it a universal anxiety, not an episodic anxiety, not an anxiety related to boss, not an anxiety related to homework. It is an anxiety which is a general anxiety, universal anxiety, we call it. And if you have to deal with this, the only way to deal with this, knowing that your circle of control is very small. So spend a lot of time in understanding how we try to increase our circle of control and try to believe that I will control everything in my life. My son and my practice and my house and my everything. So we start believing that this circle of control is as big as the circle of influence. And when we start believing like that, we raise our anxiety levels at a very high level, because it is not possible. It is not true. I mean, reality tells us immediately that I can't even control my child's habit of eating, forget about child's future. So we come to know that very quickly. And if we come to know this, that circle of control is very low, then we can manage this anxiety, universal anxiety, at a manageable level. If we start believing that I can do everything, then we are in huge trouble as far as emotions are concerned. And to manage this, we said we should understand the philosophy of outcomes. Philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. कर्मण्ये कर्मणे अधिकारस्ते. So हम क्या बोल रहे थे? मेरे हाथ में सिर्फ कर्म करना है, मेरे हाथ में रिजल्ट नहीं है, आउटकम्स नहीं है. So if we can appreciate this philosophy and start using it in our life, we start reducing our anxiety at a very low level. So this is how we can control anxiety. Control first at an episodic level. And if we cannot control at an episodic level, control at a universal level by changing our idea of what is in my control and what is in my influence. And we spend a lot of time in the session on anxiety on this. And what we said, by doing this, what are we doing? We are increasing our absorption capacity. This blue bar. And these are the anxiety levels. So if our absorption capacity is high, then even if our residual anxiety is very high, we are in control of ourselves. We are in control of the situation. Anything you want to add here on the anxiety? Rajashree is facing a very unique problem of anxiety nowadays. Her mother-in-law is undergoing severe problem of different. She had a fall, mother-in-law, and now she is bedridden. And she has hired one person who will be 12 hours there. So episodically, she is trying to manage the anxiety at a very controllable level, but still the unknowns are so many that she's struggling to keep herself afloat. And I know every one of you are doing that. Snehal has an anxiety of, very unusual anxiety of what will happen with her child because of the experience she had when the child was 1 year old. Anjali has an anxiety of what will happen to her child of 32 years old because he is not getting a match for her child. Trupti, I don't know. Trupti and Madhura, I did not share anything specific. So this anxiety is a very common thing for all of us.
So nowadays, Arna is facing a lot of anxiety for coming. Like she's very hesitant to come to school.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Sir, ragotat." And every day she asks me ki tu ye dada आणि सांग सरांना की मला रागवलं का.
Oh, every day she comes to me.
The other day I told की अच्छा काय झालं होतं. I just asked काय झालं होतं. मग I was just looking at her. She looked at me and अगं मम्मा काय झालं माहितीये का मी माझी ऍक्टिव्हिटी ना कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन नव्हते करत माझा फोकस नव्हता आणि माझ्यापेक्षा छोट्या मुलीच्या मॅथ्स ना ती चुकत होती तर मी माझी ऍक्टिव्हिटी सोडून ना तिची ऍक्टिव्हिटी करेक्ट केली मग सर मला म्हटले होते की असं नाही करायचं पण ते थोडं ना रागवले मला म्हणून ना ते मला रागवले असतील. That is the explanation she gave me.
Baapre, see the observing, see her capacity to observe also. Yeah, okay.
आणि मम्मी म्हटलं अगं मग ना तू तुझी करायची ना ऍक्टिव्हिटी आपले टीचर्स आहेत ना मग ते शिकवतील आपल्याला असं. आय जस्ट टोल्ड हर अगं हो मम्मा पण ती चुकत होती ना तर आय जस्ट थॉट की मी हेल्प करून देऊ छोटी आहे का बिचारी ती.
अच्छा.
तर मग नंतर आज लाईक की शी नोज की शी इज अँशियस सर का रागवलं हे पण तिला माहितीये पण स्टील एव्हरी डे वी हॅव टू फेस द सेम इश्यू की आज नाही मला जायचं सर रागवलं. But I seriously don't know how to deal with it, sir.
No, nothing. This is how it will happen now. See, anxiety is a harsh problem. We always say that when anxiety is high, don't tell her to avoid the event. Which means what? If there is an anxiety of my, for example, here in this case, of my talking to her in a Ragavana's language, then she has to deal with it. Now what you have to do is you have to say, okay, no performance issue. You go there, don't do anything, but sit there. So if you have an anxiety of not playing tennis, go there and sit in the tennis ground. If you have an anxiety of not playing in the music, go there and sit in the music ground. So avoidance is the biggest harmful thing we do when we do not allow our child to experience that anxiety.
Sir, Abir also had the similar anxiety. He has cricket coaching in the morning. So his cricket coach, because he was not focusing, त्याला ना long run up, he wanted to take a long run up for a bowling, but he was not able to. Sir used to tell की तो short run up घेतला तर तू थकणार नाही. You can put a good ball, but still he was not accepting that. आणि एक दोनदा त्याचे बॉल मग एकदम लांब जायला लागले तर सो हिज कोच टोल्ड दॅट नाउ यू डोंट प्ले इन एल्डर किड्स यू गो अँड प्ले इन द स्मॉलर किड्स अदरवाइज पॅकअप असं एकदा दोनदा झालं आणि देन ही वॉज लाईक ही डिडंट वॉन्ट टू गेट अप इन द मॉर्निंग डझंट वॉन्ट टू गो टू अँड yesterday night he announced that I'm not going only. I don't want to go to that class. I don't want. And he was crying and he was having extremely anxious. He was extremely anxious. तर मग मी त्याला सो तेव्हा ना सर आय हॅड टू म्हणजे मी त्याला म्हणते की मी बघते मी बोलते सरांशी आपण विल नॉट मिस द क्लास बट असं मी त्याला म्हटलं पण मग मी सरांशी त्याच्या बोलले कारण इट वॉज अ नीड ऑफ दॅट आवर अँड मग ते सर पण म्हणाले की मी जरा रागवूनच बोललो त्याला त्याला सांगितलं मी असं कर तसं कर मग मी त्यांना सांगितलं की so he is a different kind of child altogether. He will not understand. म्हणजे काही children, some children in sports are like, if you give them names or you tell them don't play, they get motivated and they play better. But he was not like that. He is like, if he gets the demotivating statements or sarcastic statement, he will not take it in the right way, and he will not react to that. He will rather get demotivated. असं मी त्यांना एक्सप्लेन केलं मग ते म्हणाले की नाही त्याला यू सेंड हिम, त्याला पाठवा, मी बोलते त्याच्याशी तुम्ही काही काळजी करू नका. म्हणलं तो सेन्सिटिव्ह आहे खूप, असं मी त्यांना सांगितलं. मग ते आज गेला तो, मग तो मस्त बोलला त्यांच्याशी. मग त्यांनी विचारलं काय झालं अबीर, तर मग त्याने सगळं he told him everything, whatever he felt, he could express that to him. So I don't know whether this interference or of talking to the coach or was it intended or not, but it helped him at that point.
It's a good you talked, I think, because as my surprising feeling is my coaches do not understand this mechanics of anxiety properly.
No,
Many
they
coaches,
don't
I'm saying,
understand.
they don't understand that.
They feel that if
Yeah.
you demotivate or you shout at them, they will get
Ha,
motivated
no,
and children will play more.
Yeah,
It is not like that, no?
yeah, it is not like that. It is not like that. It is never like that. Good coaches never do that. But
Hmm.
nowadays, but the problem with these coaches are, they don't psychology or anything. So they are काही आता नवीन कोचेस मध्ये ते शिकवायला लागलेत.
हो.
आणि then it has become
हे
now
coach तर असे आहेत की
psychology.
म्हणजे ते बॉल जरी चुकीचं टाकलं ना मॅच मध्ये, असं म्हणजे मॅचेस असतात त्यांचे डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवलचे, तर ते ना चिडतात असे जोर जोरात,
बापरे.
म्हणजे हातांनी आणि असे बॉडी लँग्वेज अशी चिडतात ते जोरात. आणि मुलं बघतात सरांकडे, आणि बापरे आता आपलं काही खरं नाही, आता आपल्याला फटके,
It is,
असं म्हणजे फटकेही देतात ते.
I see.
पण ते फटके म्हणजे सगळे बाकीच्या मोठ्या मुलांना विचारलं तर ते म्हणे ह्यांच्याकडनं कोचिंग केलं ना की टाळून सिखाळून निघतो, बरोबर कळतं म्हणे कसं जगायचं नंतर, म्हणजे हाऊ टू डील विथ देअर अँगर अँड एव्हरीथिंग, ते सगळं कळतं म्हणे मुलांना. काही नाही, जाऊ द्यायचं, रडू द्यायचं, करू द्यायचं, असं म्हणतात सगळे. किती दिवस रडू देणार मुलांना, असं पण होतं.
No, this is not even happening at a very highest coaching level of Rahul Dravid or anyone. They don't.
Yeah, they may not be.
No one does it. Earlier, this was a norm of coaching. की ओरडायचं, जोरात शिव्या घालायच्या, हे नॉर्म होता हा पूर्वीचा. आता ते समजायला लागले. Now they have understanding that this is not how coaching should be done. So now there are coaching exams that are taken, tests that are taken, even of the coaches who are local coaches, and they are made compulsorily to go through this psychology of coaching. Now it has become compulsory now, and therefore they are understanding all these aspects of coaching. But earlier this was not like this. Earlier it was all ओरडणं होतं फक्त. म्हणजे I don't know whether you have in swimming also. मुलाला
मी तेच उदाहरण देणार होतो. मुक्ताला क्लास लावला होता तर ते एक जण तिथलं मुलांना पाण्यात फेकून द्यायचे, म्हणजे
हो, लिटरली.
आणि पालकांना वाटायचं की हा कितीच म्हणजे असं मी ऐकलं बाकीच्यांचं, नाही हे असंच पाहिजे, म्हणजे भीती घालवताय म्हणे. म्हटलं कसली भीती घालवताय, घाबरवतायत म्हटलं.
असं सगळंच असतं.
This is not how it works at all.
नाही, पण जनरली असं लोकांमध्ये
समज आहे, करेक्ट
समज आहे की हे असंच लागतं, म्हणजे छडी लागे छमछम वगैरे, असं त्यातनंच आलंय ना.
बरोबर. So anxiety is one very big thing which we need to tackle with our children all the time. So our job should be always, not make him avoid the thing which is making him anxious. He may not perform there. He may not go, for example, in your case now in Abir, he may not have gone and played there, but your job is to go and sit there.
So many times he tells me that I have to come with him at 6 o'clock. You come with me and sit there. And don't do anything or don't talk, but you come and sit with me. So I go then and sit with him.
I see. We should not, avoid नाही करायचं ते, कारण की त्याला anxietyला काही उत्तर नाहीये. म्हणजे there is no way of solving that problem by avoiding the event which is creating anxiety. Okay. Now the second emotion which we are talking is jealousy, second eye of the tiger. And how to deal with jealousy, the second eye of the tiger. This is a very tricky, because it is luckily not like anxiety, which is caused by the uncertain future. It is caused by the people around us, and therefore it is very easily dealt with, and it is best to deal with it by mirroring or validating the emotion. जे आपण शिकलो. What do you mean by mirroring the emotion? Pause, label the emotion, explain the meaning of emotion. बस, full stop. इतकी सिंपल स्टेप 3 स्टेप घेतलं you will be able to deal with jealousy. And if you deal it at a primary level, it is quick. Primary emotion, when you deal like, and if you don't deal like I did not deal with my friend's jealousy, then it can stay with me for hours together or days together also. So that becomes a secondary emotion. So how to deal with the jealousy of child? We spent a lot of time in understanding this in the last 2 sessions. Because jealousy of a child is directly impacting his social skills. Directly impacting. When we talked in the case of Harish, every day he used to come and complain to his mother about Ishan and Kishan and this and that. They are all about jealousy. Starts with jealousy, and they impact the social skills. So we spend a lot of time in understanding that the best way to deal with jealousy of the social skills is to help you understand why friends are different. Why someone likes to play football, why someone likes X color shirt, why someone likes cricket more than football, why someone likes to talk with that friend and not with this friend. So the best way to deal with jealousy is to help them understand how everyone is different. And then we said we help them learn the 3 expression skills to express the differences. Kutle 3 expression skills? Talk in sequence. Remember that case? Hotel मध्ये गेल्यानंतर how to talk about the experience of hotel. Talk by using drama, by using your body language, by using your tone and everything. And third is learn to summarize. And what we said, summarize from different angles. We took one case of Riva where Riva was helping her friend who was 1 year old, younger than her. And then she was talking to her in Marathi and she was caught speaking in Marathi. And then we use that case to understand how it is important to learn to summarize what has happened with different perspectives, different angles. So social skills and jealousies are dealing is very different. Second biggest emotion, which is not a direct emotion, is inadequacy. It is generated by jealousy as well as anxiety. So how to deal with inadequacy of the child? It creates a lot of love-hate relationship, and which we saw in our session also. Pranav was sharing with us his experience with his son, and they start hitting you, they start मारतात आपल्याला ते कधी कधी आणि we don't understand की याला काय झालं तर एवढंसं काहीतरी झालं and then it starts hitting you. So this love-hate relationship, which is very high between the 3 and 4, creates all that odd behavior of a child. It can be dealt by reducing instructions and by reducing labeling of the child. So it is easy to deal with a child by doing these 2 things. And we saw a lot of ideas there of how to reduce the instructions. So instead of saying keep your, for example, boots in the rack, you just look at the boots and say boots. Don't tell him the full instruction, just reduce the instructions. But the difficult problem is how to deal with our own inadequacy. This is because when we feel inadequate, like Trupti and Madhura, and all of us have been sharing all inadequacy emotions, when we feel we are not doing enough for our child. So one of the simplest route is have a validating friend. A friend who will listen to our problems without giving us advice. That's all what we mean by validating friend. Without giving us any suggestions. Second is more important trick. When something happens wrong in your life, write it down. And as hotas. Sometimes one day will be so bad that your child will be creating problem for you. You will go to the clinic and there will be another problem for you. You come back and while coming back, there will be a big problem with the vegetable vendor. All these things, all wrong things start happening in your life. So I always say that when something is happening wrong in your life, write it down. And when something is happening right in your life also, write it down. Why is it important to write both the things, wrong and right? दोन्ही गोष्टी आपल्याला समजल्या पाहिजे आपल्या का?
So both
Yes.
both the emotions are adequate, and we are mirroring our own emotion by writing down.
No, I'm asking a question here is, what is right, what is appropriate in writing both the negative things that are happening in our life and the positive things that are happening in our life?
It might just create a perspective towards things like
Okay.
to appreciate the good days as well appreciate the bad days.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Take one more step ahead. Take one more step ahead.
Sir, like you last time told we should journal whatever emotions we are feeling. At that time, we feel that okay, fine, it was not all that big thing or a negative thing. It was our thought at that particular moment which we were
Okay.
thinking, oh shit, might happen. So it helps us to validate our emotions.
Okay. Okay. No, तुम्ही थोडेसे मागे येत आहे. मला पुढे तुम्हाला I am just trying to push you one step ahead. You are coming very close, but not making the next statement. Because we spend some time in understanding this.
So after writing this, we understand that where exactly we are getting hurt, or where exactly
Oh, acha. Okay.
we are having gratitude. So we
Okay,
can find some
okay.
connections between them, and
Oh,
maybe
I see.
start
Okay,
feeling
okay.
better.
Okay, you are taking a different angle, which is again true. Not, you are taking a different angle. Here, my angle was that we should understand that we both have white things in our life and black things in our life. We are a mixture of black and white. We are gray people. And this is very important for us to remember all the time. आपण जेव्हा सक्सेसफुल होतो ना, आपल्याला असं वाटतं की आता जग आपण ओलांडलंय. I mean, we have conquered the world. But we should remember कि boss इसके पहले 2 बार मैं फेल भी हो चुका हूँ. So, and one coach who was a cricket coach, David Galmore, he said it very beautifully. When Sri Lanka won their first 1996 World Cup, he said what was his language? He said, I told my team that you are ordinary people trying to do something extraordinary. That is a very beautiful summation of this inadequacy. In other words, we are all ordinary people. And sometimes we do extraordinary things. And this is very beautiful reminder to all of us to say, to not get carried by our successes and not get put down by our failures also. So wonderful statement which I liked about that David Gilmour, we are all ordinary people trying to do extraordinary things. And that is what he said made our team won the first World Cup. Yeah, Sri Lanka's Pahla World Cup was very memorable World Cup. When not a single person was, who was playing in the team was well known, other than the top captain and others. So this is something we need to remind ourselves. Inadequacy is a very difficult emotion to rub it off. बाजूला काढता नाही येत ती अशी. So we need to remind ourselves all the time that we are black and we are white, and in other words, we are gray. Or another way of remembering it is we are ordinary people trying to do some extraordinary things. Okay. Then, how to deal with our child's choices? We said our child is wanting to have so many things in our life. in his life. He wants to play tennis, he wants to play guitar, he wants to play skating. And we saw that Harish's case. You remember that why did he stop playing tennis on the 4th day? He said, "Mujhe sir pasand nahi hai. Sir bahut chillate hai." And so always expect anxiety to play the role when learning anything. So you remember in this case we said that Malini should have taken Harish to the tennis and sat with him for the tennis lessons for the full 1 month for which she had paid. Why? Because there is something happening there. Harish is telling us the reason of his teacher, but the reasons of whenever you are trying to do something new like this, playing tennis, the reason is always different. So avoidance is not going to help him. So he may not play tennis in his life later, any time in his life after that 1 month. It is possible. But we want to use this event to help Harish to deal with his anxiety. That is more important learning than learning tennis. So हे आपल्याला शिकवायचे choices मधनं, आपल्या मुलांना. Because they make so many choices. They make choice of आज त्यांना skating करायचं असतं, उद्या त्यांना हे करायचं असतं, परसों वो करना होता है. So we should help them make these choices, but not let them get away with such excuses like I don't like that teacher. We have to use these choices to help them understand their own emotions properly, help them deal with those emotions. So this is something which you need to remember. So flow with your child, but also learn from that experience. He may not be a tennis player, that is okay. And we also said that when a child is learning a sport or a music or anything, it is very, very important because it is a quick feedback environment. ये स्पोर्ट्स में और म्यूजिक में क्या होता है, मैं जो करता हूँ उसका रिजल्ट मेरे को इमीडिएटली नेक्स्ट मिनट में नेक्स्ट मोमेंट में समझता है, which does not happen when I am learning arithmetic, which is not happening when I am learning language or any other subject, academic subject. So helping your child learn some sport or music is a big bonus. Remember that. He gets a complete different perspective of life when he is having an environment where he gets quick feedback on his actions. It's a learning environment. It becomes a learning environment. He learns very fast in sports because of this. Because whatever will happen in academics and other things cannot be controlled. But whatever is happening here in this fast feedback environment can be controlled by him. And therefore his learning is much more deeper in sports than his learning in academics. Okay. Then we spend some time in understanding how to deal with your child's shame emotions. Shame emotions, you remember? Shame emotions are generated by our should rules and beliefs. And we discussed some of the should rules. And we said, one of the should rule we have to give up if we want to help our child. What is that should rule which we should give up? Do you remember that? Our children now are unlike us, who are the older generation, where sex-related information was barely visible or not possible. Today, sex-related information is available in plenty in the internet. So we have to change our rule where we should talk about sex-related information with our child openly. And I'm purposely highlighting this because a lot of researchers and people suggest that sex abuse is a very big pandemic which is happening, which we are not aware. And I'm sure you must have heard about our Kailas Vidyarthi, who is one of the social worker, who is now currently working with NDTV. And he believes and he claims through his research reports that 1 in 3 child one children out of 3 children, or 2 children, he says, 2.5 to 3 children are experience sexual abuse from the close relative of that child, uncle or mama or mommy, or this. So that data is very disturbing. Very disturbing if you read that Kailash Vidyarthi's website also. But my submission to you is, if we want to make our child strong and deal with this world of the future, of which we probably are in the last generation, we need to help our children. In other words, we need to be more open about talking about these facts with our children. So please, please, please shed your inhibitions about this in your head and start talking about your children with your children on this directly. Moment you get a chance about even a small thing like, how did I come out? Did I come in your stomach or did I come from God? Use that data. Answer him, help him. Why do I have a P and why does my sister does not have a P? Answer that question. So don't try to avoid them, because if you avoid them, the child is going to get that answer from someone else, which will always be mistaken, which always will be wrong. So don't waste this opportunity of giving him the right information. So please do this. He also has some very big questions which he doesn't ask us, and therefore we feel there is no need of answering him, which is, what is the meaning of money in life? Is money a means to end, or is a money an end? Is money has to be earned to do something in life, or money has to be done is a result of having done something in life? What is it? And address the child's need of knowing what to live life for, which is philosophy, which you talked about, and where we talked about that, talking to him using the language of Richard Darwin, and we will have some sessions on this in the future, where we will. The books are available. I shared to you these books also, and these books are available on the. We can use this information now to talk with our children also about our beliefs, about God beliefs, about what it means to live a life with values, what is value, what is not value, and all those things. So this is a ते शेम इमोशनच्या सेशन मध्ये होतं.
अच्छा.
नसेल म्हणजे ते याचे पुस्तक आहेत ते युवल हरारीचे, प्रोफेसर युवल हरारीचे, आणि दुसरा एक माणूस आहे रिचर्ड डॉकिन्स म्हणून, ज्याने हे पुस्तक लिहिलंय की हे युनिव्हर्स फॉर्म कसं झालंय विदाउट एनी डिझायनर, विदाउट गॉड सिटिंग, हाऊ डिड दिस युनिव्हर्स गॉट फॉर्म्ड. फार सुंदर लिहिलंय.
ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकर म्हणून, ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकर.
करेक्ट, ब्युटिफुल. ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकरच नाव आहे त्याचे, आणि त्याने 3-4 पुस्तक लिहिलेत असे वेगवेगळे नाव याचे. ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकर इज वन ऑफ द,
या इव्होल्यूशन वर त्याची सिरीज आहे.
करेक्ट.
There are the last book, latest I guess he wrote, or like just before latest, is the God Delusion म्हणून.
God Delusion.
Anti God किंवा असं आहे. That I found the least interesting.
म्हणजे
त्याच्यात त्यांनी नुसतंच, मी म्हणेन की इट्स नॉट दॅट इट्स बॅड, बट बाकीची जी पुस्तकं आहेत दे आर मोर इन्फॉर्मेटिव्ह. गार्डन ऑफ ईडन नावाचं छोटं आहे. त्यानंतर एक्सटेंडेड फिनोटाईप म्हणून मोठा ठोका आहे तो, दॅट इज अबाउट जिनोटाईप्स आणि फिनोटाईप्स आणि त्याचे सगळे कन्सेप्ट. आणि हे तर ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकर तर त्याचं क्लासिक आहेच आहे. आणि सेल्फिश जीन इज ऑल्सो समथिंग आय विल डेफिनेटली रिकमेंड.
I see.
So that will basically that book has the power to like change your life, the way you look at things आणि religion आणि हे सगळं पूर्ण तुमचं काय म्हणतात त्याला, it can reset your compass.
Beautiful.
So it's that kind of a book.
Okay. Yeah. Does he have any videos of these things also?
व्हिडिओज युट्यूबवर नाही मी बघितलेले
मी
असतील
पण नाही
maybe.
पाहिले म्हणून विचारलं तुला, म्हटलं.
पण
कारण-
व्हिडिओजचं काय, डॉकिन्सचा थोडा प्रॉब्लेम काय की तो थोडा उर्मट माणूस आहे किंचित, म्हणजे माझ्या लेखी तरी.
अच्छा.
तर
अच्छा.
त्याचे व्हिडिओज तुम्ही बघितलेत ना, तर तो ऍक्च्युली काही युके मधले मी बघितले लोक बऱ्यापैकी असं बोलायला फाडफाड असतात जरा.
I see.
दे डोंट मीन्स वर्ड्स. सो त्यामुळे त्याचे काही काही असं बघितलं की वाटतं की हा माणूस म्हणजे अपमान करता सुटलाय.
अच्छा. अच्छा.
तर पण आणि व्हिडिओज मध्ये तेवढी मजा पण येत नाही, बिकॉज
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
तासभर फार फार तास
Yes,
अगदी
yes,
मॅक्स.
yes, yes.
सो आय वुड स्टील रेकमेंड इफ इंटरेस्टेड गोइंग थ्रू हिज बुक्स.
काहीतरी करायचं का मग प्रणव, की फॉर एक्झाम्पल ब्लाइंड तुला सेल्फिश जीन आवडलंय, तर कॅन यू समराइज इट इन मे बी 20, 30, 40 स्लाइड्स अँड शेअर विथ अस?
मला परत वाचायला लागेल सर ते समरायसाठी.
हो हो, व्हॉट एव्हर यू लाईक.
15 वर्षापूर्वी वाचलंय.
आय सी, आय सी. मला त्याचं सगळ्यात पुस्तक आवडलेलं हे ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकरच आहे, अँड गॉड डिल्युजन. बोथ ऑफ देम आय हॅव लाइक्ड. Others I have not
नेटवर-
read. What you just now said I have not read.
What I can do is I can definitely search on the internet, and I'm pretty sure ki people have done a much better job than what
Oh.
I can do of
Oh, I see,
summarizing.
I see. Then can
And
you
he's-
do that? Okay,
हा,
that's
मी
a good idea.
बघू
That's a
शकतो.
good idea. That's
Yes.
a good idea.
तर लोकांनी समरी केली असेल आणि मी म्हणजे एक 2-3 समरीज वाचून थोडं इव्हॅल्युएट करू शकतो की त्यातल्या बरी कुठली
Yeah,
वाटते ते मी
that's-
शेअर करू शकतो.
That is a very good idea, Pranav. Very good idea. उज्ज्वल सरांनी वाचलं असेल. उज्ज्वल सर, तुम्ही वाचलाय का काही रिचर्ड डॉकिन्स? कारण
नाही.
की नाही का?
सेल्फिश जीनचं एक थोडस समरी टाईप वाचलं होतं.
हो, आय
बाकी
सी.
पुस्तकं नाही वाचली. मी आता गुगलवर तेच शोधत होतो
हो, ओके.
की काय टाईप पुस्तक आहे. इंटरेस्टिंग आहे. म्हणजे गॉड इल्युजन
हो, गॉड, that is very good. God Delusion I liked very much, in fact. And but which Pranav did not like very much, but yeah, okay, that's okay.
आय डिड नॉट लाईक म्हणजे असं इन द सेन्स की त्याचं ते मेन क्षेत्र नाही. म्हणजे ही इज
I
नोन
see.
फॉर इंट्रोड्युसिंग इव्होल्युशनरी बायोलॉजी मधले जे कन्सेप्ट आहेत ना,
I see.
तो त्याच्यानंतर इओ विल्सन म्हणून आहे ज्यांनी किन सिलेक्शनची थिअरी आणली.
I
सो
see.
ही इज नोन फॉर दॅट. आणि देन ही सॉर्ट ऑफ बिकेम द फेस ऑफ अँटी रिलिजन सॉर्ट ऑफ.
Okay.
आणि गॉड डिल्युजन मध्ये त्यांनी मेनली फोकस त्याचा जास्त त्याच्यावर आहे,
I
रिफ्युटिंग
see.
गॉड किंवा असं.
I see.
आणि इतर पुस्तकांचा त्याचा फोकस जास्त बायोलॉजीवर आहे आणि
Oh, acha, that is what you are.
किंवा
No, no, it looks, Pranav, you are really, what is the word, informed about it. So I would like to pick your brains to find out something for us and use it, and we will, we'll share it in the group, because it is, I think, a very important information which our children require, not our parents require.
नाही, आपल्याला पण फार इन्फॉर्मेटिव्ह आणि एनरिचिंग होईल जर असं सेशन झालं ना.
करेक्ट.
एक बुक समरी प्रेझेंट झाली.
युवल नोआ हरारीची कुठली बुक्स म्हणता तुम्ही?
सेपियन्स. नंतर कुठलं अजून सर? 21st सेंचुरी लेसन्स ना?
होमोडिओस.
करेक्ट. 21st. 3 पुस्तक आहेत त्यांचे.
तिघही सुंदर आहेत.
तिन्ही सुंदर आहेत. हो, ब्युटिफुल.
सो नोआ हरारी आणि डॉकिन्स मध्ये फरक असा आहे की नोआ हरारी इज मोर ऑफ अ थिंकर फिलॉसॉफर. डॉकिन्स ऑन द अदर हँड इज मोर ऑफ अ सायन्स मॅन.
ओ, ओके.
डॉकिन्स मेनली सायंटिस्ट आहे. त्याचे लिटरली पेपर्स आहेत बायोलॉजीवर आणि याचे.
ओके.
Nowadays he is not into like professional science on a day-to-day basis. तो आता जास्त करून असं लेक्चर्स देणे लोकांना किंवा असं पुस्तक लिहिणे हेच काम करतो. पण हरारी इज मोर लाईक अ फिलॉसॉफर आणि हू कॅन इमॅजिन फ्युचरिस्ट ज्याला म्हणतो ना आपण, त्या कॅटेगरीतला माणूस आहे. म्हणजे द वे आय सी इट. आय मे बी रॉंग.
आय सी.
21st सेंचुरी आणि सेपियन्स आणि कुठलं बुक आहे सर?
होमोडियस.
ओके.
ते पण आपल्या एका लर्निंग नोट्स मध्ये आहे ते, याच्या बिलीफ्सच्या, म्हणजे सोशल लर्निंगच्या याच्यामध्ये आहे ते बिलीफ्स. तिन्ही पुस्तकांचे नाव आहेत. हा, रिचर्ड डॉकिन्सचं पुस्तकांचे नाव नाही आहेत सगळ्या. एकच लिहिलंय मी फक्त, ब्लाइंड वॉचमेकर. बट लाईक ही सेड, द अदर्स वन लुक्स ऑल्सो इंटरेस्टिंग. Okay, so this is about shame emotions, and the last one, which is more difficult, how to deal with our secondary emotions of thought. See, like we said, primary emotions generate these 5 emotions, but this thought can take this emotion to a very, very, very long period, for days together. And scientists call it a white bear effect. This was discovered. This phenomenon was discovered by Daniel Wagner. Where he said that if I tell you don't think about white bear, you will only think about white bear. So more I tell you about suppressing certain thoughts, the more they increase in frequency. So this was so this is the problem with our thoughts. The more we do not want to think about XYZ, we will think about XYZ only. So therefore he says how to deal with these thoughts. So he suggests blue dolphin solution. म्हणजे तो काय म्हणतो काही नाही म्हणे blue dolphin is a replacement to white bear. So it's a thought we should but the most important aspect he highlights is you should consciously switch your attention to it if your white bear comes to mind. म्हणजे consciously is very important word. We right now do it unconsciously. For example, moment I am stressed with something, I use music or I go for driving or even I use social media. He says do all these three, but do it very consciously. When you do it with the knowledge that I am diverting my thoughts into music. असं केलं तरच त्याचा उपयोग होतो या ब्लू डॉल्फिनचा, नाहीतर इट ओनली बिकम्स अ जर्नी इन टू एस्केप म्हणजे अदरवाइज. सो द इम्पॉर्टंट की हिअर इज डू इट कॉन्शियसली. म्हणजे वाहत नाही जायचं त्या थॉट मध्ये. Second technique, which is this technique of ABC, call it as ABCचं नाव मी का विसरतो काय माहित नाही नेहमीच. बिहेवियर ABC बिहेवियर कमिटमेंट थेरी. हे परत विसरलो परत हेच काय. Behavior commitment theory. It is a theory which was launched by Stephen Hayes in 1990s, and now it has become a mainstream theory about controlling your thoughts. Basically, what he is trying to tell us is we are not our thoughts. Thoughts are different than me, and he has developed various techniques to help us disassociate from our own thoughts. तर खूप छान टेक्निक्स आहेत. त्याचं तुमचं त्याचं एक आर्टिकल मी छान शेअर करेल तुमच्याबरोबर. This you can use if you are thinking too much. This will be useful for you. And the last which we are going to talk now is spotting thought trigger with the help of meditation. So we are now, this is a very well-known technique, and so we will now get into understanding what is meditation. Only 5-6 slides are there. So what are these people doing? There is two people, Vishwanathan Anand and Magnus, playing chess. One child doing some homework. Some 3 students looking and playing video game. What are these people doing?
So all of them are engrossed in something.
They are
Engrossed
in a flow.
Acha, they are in a flow. They are not okay. Silent.
Focused.
They are focused. Okay. Now this is a there is a very interesting distinction which this scientists have brought between focus and concentration, which we are going to discuss now. So all these people, they say, are concentrating on doing an activity. Not focus. They have a different meaning of focus. What is concentration therefore? Concentration is letting the external trigger like video game, like chess, like some work guide your attention. So concentration is driven by an external trigger. So they say concentration is unguided attention. Unguided म्हणजे काय? मी guide नाही करत. It is guided by some external trigger. If it is a movie, I am watching a movie and completely engrossed like this. If it is a video game, my attention is sucked by the video game. So naturally, your question will be, then what is focus? So take the same example of these children playing video game, and let us try to understand what would happen differently if they focus. So focus is taking a 10 feet perspective. म्हणजे संजीव, आता मी तुमच्याशी बोलतोय, I am giving you a session on, I'm presenting on this. So focus is taking a 10 feet perspective. म्हणजे Sanjeev Bhamre sitting 10 feet above me and trying to understand what am I doing? Why am I doing? Why am I talking to you? So in this case, taking a step back and watching yourself play the video game. So a very small distinction, but see the beauty of distinction. So focus is using attention to become aware of what we are doing. So even if you are watching a movie, I use my attention to tell myself I am watching a movie. That's the difference, फक्त. So focus is guided attention. So concentration is unguided attention. Focus is guided attention. Who guides the attention? Me, my mind. I guide the attention. So now if you look at those three examples which I showed you earlier, now look at these three examples from the angle of focus. So when a child is solving a problem, and the child has a difficulty in solving the problem, focus helps the child in noticing, taking a 10 feet perspective and noticing that, Are Bapre, I'm not able to get this. Now what should I do? Should I get up, walk off? Should I continue? Should I persist? What should I do? So focus, if I'm focused, my attention is diverted to the difficulty of doing the maths. And because my attention is consciously diverted to the difficulty of the maths, now I'm going to make a choice whether I want to work on the maths or not work on the maths. If I'm not focused, what happens? I simply get up and walk off. Because I get, म्हणजे मला हे सुद्धा समजत नाही की I got distracted by the difficulty. हे समजतच नाही मला. So focus helps you notice, because you get a 10 feet perspective. Focus helps Vishwanathan Anand notice that there is a AC sound coming, which is getting irritated with it. And now he has to still play the game because everyone is irritated perhaps with the sound, but I am more irritated. So focus is noticing that irritation. So when you are concentrated, they say you don't notice this irritation also. You just get bugged by it. Ki काय चाललंय? What is happening? कसला आवाज येतोय सगळीकडे? And you get distracted from the play which you are making. Focus is knowing that I should finish this before going. Suddenly I got up and came to know that I must finish these activities. Therefore, I sat on the table and doing that activity. So now I should also be aware that I am now in a hurry to finish this. For whatever reason, I am hurried. So in short, guiding attention is taking a 10 feet perspective and noticing these subconscious reactions of mine, which I will not notice if I am concentrated. So what is meditation for us? If you use this language, it is a process of learning to guide attention. So we don't generally guide our attentions. Our attentions are sucked by external activities, sucked by the phone. Phone ala ki lage me phone vagar gheto, sucked by my child who comes to me for asking me something. So meditation is a process by which I learn to guide my attention. That means when my child is also coming to me and asking and crying for me, there also I have a focus and say, अच्छा मी हे काम करू, आता काय करू मी? याला मदत करू का थोडा वेळ थांबू का काय करू? Even in that fraction of a second, I learn to focus. And therefore it is called mindful meditation by these people. I'm mindful about what I'm doing. Therefore, the word mindful. In short, focus or guided attention is about training yourself to watch yourself doing activities. Very interesting definition. Training yourself to watch yourself doing activities. Remaining fully aware of what you are doing at all times, instead of being lost in doing the activity. So whether you are cooking, whether you are sitting on a computer and solving a software problem, or whether you are talking to a patient and trying to solve his problem, it is becoming fully aware of what you are doing at all times. Taking in as much possible from the environment around you and not allowing the mind to wander from one thing to another without aim. A very nice definition. Without purpose, mind la wander hone द्यायचं. So take as much as possible from the environment, from the light around me, from the sound. So naturally, we have different capacity to guide our attention. So today, if I ask you what is your capacity to guide your attention, you don't know that. So like a gym trainer, he will say कि थोड़ा देर तू जरा जिम में ट्रेनिंग करना, मैं तेरे को बताता हूँ तू किधर तक पहुंचा है, and what you should be doing, with which muscles you should be practicing more. So similarly, this mass test, this is a test of knowing what is your present capacity to guide your attention. If you take this, it will help you understand what is your current capacity of guiding your attention and how much your meditation can help you, and therefore how long you will have to practice meditation to get focused, to guide your attention. So take your pencil and pen. You have a pencil and pen with you? नसेल तर घ्या जरा.
What, sir?
एक पेन्सिल घ्या आणि एक कागद घ्या.
Okay.
And there are 15 questions which you have to answer on the scale of 1 to 6. For example, first question. I break or spill things because I am thinking of something else. मी काहीतरी तोडून देतो कारण की मी कसला तरी वेगळाच विचार करत असतो. If I do most of the time, then it is almost always. If I rarely do, it is 6, almost never. So you have to score yourself. I give yourself 1 mark or 2 mark or 3 mark or 4 mark or 5 mark or 6 mark, depending on which answer out of these 6 is more relevant to you. So तुम्ही तुमच्या कागदावर आत्ताच लिहा 1 and mark 3 or 2.
सर म्यूट झालंय का तुमचं?
म्यूट झालंय?
No, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, sorry. So even when I'm experiencing some emotion, I become aware of it much later. If I'm becoming aware of it much later, almost always, then give yourself 1 mark. And तुम्ही लगेच aware होत असाल तर you give yourself 6 marks. I go back to check if I have locked the car or house whenever I am going outside. म्हणजे मी कुलूप लावतो कारला किंवा घराला, and then suddenly I forget की अरे लावलं का पण, and again I go back to check. If I am doing almost always, give yourself 1 mark. If I am never doing it, give yourself 6 marks. While driving, I often go in auto mode so that I can use my mind to prepare plans. So तुमच्यामध्ये काही जण ड्रायव्हिंग नसाल करत, त्यांच्यासाठी हा रिलेव्हंट नाहीये, सोडून द्या हा क्वेश्चन.
So what does auto mode mean?
ऑटो मोड म्हणजे मी ते ड्रायव्हिंग कडे लक्षच देत नाही, मी माझं प्रिपरेशन
Okay.
करत राहतो.
Okay.
सो आय एम ऑलरेडी प्रिपेरिंग. तिथे जाऊन मी काय करणार आहे, मग तिथे भाजी घेणार आहे, भाजी नंतर ते घेणार आहे. सो आय एम ऑलरेडी इन माय मोड ऑफ थिंकिंग or planning. I do not notice feelings of physical pain such as shoulder pain until it grabs my attention. If I do not notice at all, then it is mark 1. Give yourself mark 1. Shall I shift to the next? Six.
No, wait.
Wait, sir.
Oh, sorry.
I do not notice feelings.
Of physical pain, such as shoulder pain, until it grabs my attention. जाऊ पुढे.
Yes, sir.
Wait.
Six.
Okay.
Sixth. In a get together, I forget a person's name almost as soon as I have been told it for the first time. If I forget immediately, then almost one, give yourself 1 mark. If you don't forget at all, give yourself 6 marks. I do several tasks at one time. I am expert in multitasking. I rush through daily activities without being really attentive to them because I am used to it. Habitual. Daily activities are not new activities, daily activities. I get so focused on the goal I want to achieve, such as cooking, kiva, cleaning, that I lose touch with what I am doing right now. म्हणजे मी कुकिंग जर करत असेल तर मी सगळं विसरून जातो, किंवा क्लिनिंग करत असेल तर आय फॉरगेट एव्हरीथिंग. I do many tasks automatically. Automatically म्हणजे विदाउट थिंकिंग, म्हणजे विदाउट कॉन्शियसली थिंकिंग असं म्हणूया आपण. Without being aware of what I am doing. Shall I shift to the next page?
Just a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is purposely some overlap in 7, 8 and 10, but that is purposely done. So I'm shifting to 11. Okay. I forget to spend time on self-care activities like dieting, physical exercise or relaxation. विसरून जातो मी because I get busy with so many things in my life that I forget to do my dieting plan, or forget to do my physical exercise, or forget to do my meditation or yoga. I find myself listening to someone with 1 ear and doing something else at the same time. I am trying to do both the things. I am trying to listen to someone also and trying to do something else. It is something like multitasking only, but in a different way. I find myself preoccupied with the future. What will happen in the future? What should I do tomorrow, day after tomorrow, next month, next week, next year? I often go in fantasies when I'm doing boring activity. तुम्ही मला boring activity दिली की मी I engage in fantasies. And the last question, I eat without being aware that I'm eating. Okay, can I shift to the last? Now the questions are over. Now look at your page. Total score of all the 15 answers. If you have scored only 14, like driving किसी को वो relevant नहीं है, तो say add the score of 14 answers and divide by 14 if you have not answered that driving question or whatever other question also. So add all the scores and divide by the number of questions which you have answered. मिल गया score?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now we'll try to understand what is the meaning of this score. So if your score is less than 2, then you have to go far. That means your capacity to guide your attention today is limited. It will take up to 8 to 12 weeks to learn to guide your attention. 8 to 12 weeks म्हणजे 2 ते 3 महिने. जर तुमचा स्कोर 3 to 4 असेल, आपका स्कोर अगर 3 to 4 रहेगा, then it will take less time. And if your score is more than 4, then it will take 4 weeks. So this is like a, see, why are we doing this? Because many times when we get into meditation, no, we expect results. ऐसे जल्दी जल्दी अपने को चाहिए होते हैं. So what we are trying to do by doing this is we are trying to reset our expectations. We are trying to become, what is the word, realistic about when will we achieve our objective of guiding our attention by using meditation. So now the question is, how to do the meditation? So sit down on a chair like this. You need not have a lotus position. खाली बसायची गरज नाही है. The only rule is sit upright. Close the eyes, or you can keep it open, but closing eyes is easier. Try to sit in a quiet place and set the timer. Use this mobile, mobile, and set the timer for 10 minutes. Okay, now some important rules while meditation. So when you are sitting for the 10 minutes meditation, first do the body check. they call it body check. Body check म्हणजे काय? Become aware of म्हणजे body head पासून तर toe पर्यंत slowly scan your body by face, the neck, shoulder, stomach, khali legs, and try to feel. It is called body check. Become aware of the pain or feeling from head to toe. कुठे दुखतंय का? Are you feeling pain on your shoulders? Here. Or are you feeling your legs stiff? Just become aware of it. There is no limitation of time here. You can take 1 minute, 2 minutes also to do this body check. अशी घाई नाही आहे की बुवा एका सेकंदात झालं पाहिजे, एका मिनिटात झालं पाहिजे. Then do the mind check. Become aware of the mind state you are in. Sometimes, when you have got up in the morning and you are in a rush to do the meditation. So your mind state is very agitated. You want to quickly go and finish this and jaldi se gaadi nikal ke jana hai mujhe. So your mind state is very agitated. So become aware of that mind state. Don't try to change that mind state. If you are agitated, you say, I am agitated. मला आत्ताच्या आत्ता उठायचं आणि जायचंय. Or you have not had a good sleep, then also your mind state is not good. So that could be one of the conditions. Or you are anxious about some result that is going to come today. And then use breath to guide your attention. So after only these first 2 steps are over, then your meditation is starting. And how to use breath? Take in breath. When you are taking a in breath, your stomach should come out. Pause. Out. Again pause. Parat in. Parat pause. Out. So this simple technique of using breath to guide attention. So you are focusing your attention on your breath right now. You are not focusing your attention on anything else. Okay, when attention wanders, म्हणजे जेव्हा मी असं करतोय and suddenly I remember, oh my God, तृप्तीने मला फोन केला होता आणि विचारलं होतं. So when your attention wanders like this, let it wander, bring it back to breath again. It's okay. तृप्तीला मी नंतर बोलेल. सडनली मी बोलतो, मग उज्ज्वल सरांचा मला आठवतं, अरे मला जायचंय ते उज्ज्वल सरांच्या 40 गावला. Again, bring that attention back to breath. So कितीदाही झालं हे 10 मिनिटं तर होऊ द्यायचं. Don't blame yourself, don't ridicule yourself, की अरे बापरे काय मेडिटेशन झालंच नाही माझं. My attention was constantly wandering. You should not say that, because what they are saying is you are focusing, you are guiding your attention, you are moving your attention from Trupti to breath, again to Ujjwal sir to breath, again to X to breath, again to Y to breath. You are doing that constantly. As far as you are doing that, it's okay. So do not blame yourself. की कितीदा माझं असं झालं, माझं मेडिटेशन झालंच नाही आज, असं नाही म्हणायचं. In fact, they say this is how meditation happens. Rather, this is how you are guiding your attention. So you will experience 5 phases of training your attention. First phase is day 1 to day 10. D1 is day 1 to day 10. Focus on breath, count breaths. म्हणजे आता मी जे म्हटलं ना, इन आउट हे काउंट करायचे ब्रेथ. 1 2 असे काउंट करायचे ब्रेथ. का करतोय आपण हे? जस्ट टू मेक अवर जॉब इझियर. ओके, सो फर्स्ट 10 days count your breath. Next 10 days focus on breath without counting. So you are not counting 1 2 3 4, count nahi karat. You stop counting, but you focus on breath. Again, twice a day, 10 minutes. Next 10 days, you have to change something. Focus on body awareness plus breath. And then now start noticing your body also along with your breath. म्हणजे की इथे माझं शोल्डर मध्ये दुखतंय, माझे पाय हे झालेत एकदम स्टिफ झालेत, हीलला काहीतरी असं सेन्सेशन आलंय, असं चित्र सेन्सेशन आलंय. किंवा कधी कधी असे sometimes you notice the skin here starts असं फटफटफट असं हे होतं, म्हणजे काहीतरी विचित्र वाटतं ते. So focus on this body awareness plus breath. You are not counting now. But you have to do something here. During a day, you have to mindfully engage in a routine activity. Some routine activity you are already doing, like driving or drinking your chai or eating. Very routine activity. So you do engage in this activity, but you mindfully engage in it. म्हणजे कसं की चहा पिताना आता नाव स्टार्ट नोटिसिंग किती गरम आहे चहा, अरे बापरे काहीतरीच गोड चहा झालाय वाजता, ते आत गेले की एकदम हॉट वाटतं मला. सो द होल process of drinking tea, notice it and engage in it, and completely engage with it. Feel the entire process of drinking tea. When you are driving also, you are perhaps driving without thinking, because हर रोज का रोड है ना वो अपना, इधर से ऑफिस से जाने का. Now start noticing everything. अरे आता लेफ्ट घ्यायचं इथे, मला इथे सिग्नल आलाय, आता मी तिसऱ्या चॅनलला थांबणार आहे आता. Okay, but that fellow is standing on that 4th channel. No, that is a truck. I don't want to go there. So all do the same things of driving which you are doing every day, but consciously engage in that entire process of driving. I am putting my foot on accelerator. I am changing my gear to 2. Oh God, I cannot now run on the 4th gear at this when I am running at the speed of 20. So I should put down the gear. हे तुम्ही naturally करते हैं, normally करते हैं. Now we are saying is do it mindfully. 30 to 40, focus on body awareness plus breath, but mindfully engage in a routine activity at least thrice a day. म्हणजे आता बाकी सगळं टाइम करताय, you are increasing your time now. Instead of doing twice a day, you are doing only once a day meditation now, but 20 minutes in stretch, and you are engaging in a routine activity thrice a day. Again, it should be a routine activity: driving, eating, drinking chai, and what else? Eating samosa. whatever you think and you do without thinking. And day 40 to 50, focus on awareness of you on the 10 feet. म्हणजे now 40 ते 50 दिवशी you have to imagine Sanjeev Bhamre sitting here 10 feet above me and focus on him. त्या वरच्या माणसावर focus करायचं. What is he seeing? I am sitting here in the room, there is a tube light here, there is a laptop here. फारच uncomfortable वाटतंय मला इथे बसायला. I should open the door. असं सगळं वरून 10 फीटाच्या वरनं बघायचं आणि संजीव भांबरेला ऑब्झर्व करायचं. Again, only 20 minutes once, and thrice a day, mindfully engage in an activity. This thrice a day is a very good routine because it breaks our routine. In the morning ला आपण ऑफिसला जातो किंवा काहीतरी करतो, कुकिंग किंवा काही. Even if it is cooking, it is a good mindfully engage in an activity. Afternoon, it could be taking a nap. And evening, it could be going on a jog or walk or driving back. So what you will notice is, you will first start noticing and becoming aware of your thoughts. secondary thoughts. Remember that thoughts? So it is called thought awareness. So your process of guiding your attention first helps you make you aware of thoughts. Then it makes you aware of your beliefs. की मला असं वाटलं होतं की उज्ज्वल सर खूप कडक आहेत. मला असं वाटलं होतं की प्रणव कॉर्पोरेट मध्ये काम करतोय तर प्रणव इज व्हेरी फोकस्ड ऑन हिज प्रमोशन. असं काही पण म्हणजे इट कुड बी एनी बिलीफ, यु नो. And how therefore I misread things about Pranav when I was thinking about Pranav. Emotion awareness, and then only in the third stage you will start becoming aware of your emotions. See, in the last full 1 hour we talked about emotions of anxiety, jealousy, shame, inadequacy. You will not become aware of these emotions if you are not able to guide your attention in the first 2 months at all. So तुम्हाला पहिल्यांदा थॉट्सच येतील, नंतर बिलीफ्स येतील आणि नंतर इमोशन येईल. सो ते जे आपण बोलतोय की तुम्हाला असं केलं पाहिजे आणि यू शुड डू दिस आणि यू शुड डू दॅट, इट विल नॉट हॅपन इन द फर्स्ट 3 months. So just I am and use the same rule. Whenever you are doing a new activity, what happens? Anxiety comes in. What happens when anxiety comes in? Suddenly तिसऱ्या दिवशी आपल्याला वाटतं अरे आज जाऊ दे ना, आज why should I do it? आज बहुत थक गया हूं मैं. So let this anxiety come, let this feeling also come कि I don't want to do meditation today, but still do it. So sometimes one of the good ideas of whenever you are doing a new activity, you should they say you should join one group. मग ते काय होतं, ऑटोमॅटिकली आपल्यावर प्रेशर येतं की मला तिथे जाऊन ते करायचं आहे मेडिटेशन वगैरे. पण ते जर शक्य नसेल, तसं करता येत असेल तर व्हेरी गुड. तसं नसेल करता येत, इट इज ऑल्सो नो प्रॉब्लेम, यु नो.